Yo, what's up, dude? What's up? So it's finally back. The Frankie, all back together. Neck is back. Neck is attached. It's all good. It's all working. So, as some of you know, I got this as a gift from Bobby about 2 weeks after the passing of EVH last year. So I guess that was like October of 2020. And true to the original, he had never had the neck finished. And I was just worried about it. It was already starting to darken up a little bit. And it gets so dry here in the winter. Like right now, it's like super dry. But in the summer, it gets really wet and moist here. So those moisture extremes and just the overall health of the neck. And I felt like there was a flame that would come out. And I was right about that. So I really wanted to, get a finish on it to sort of bring out those flame highlights, seal the neck up, and, give it, I think, a better lifespan than if I left it unfinished. So I bought some the tongue oil, and I was just going to sand it and finish it, but, I wasn't sure if I had quite the right stuff, so I was talking with Scott at Acacia Guitars. He was super cool, and I sent it down to them, but the timing was a little screwy because they were moving, and there was a huge, time investment for their move, and so it took them a while to get going on it. Plus, I had sent them a GoPro, and so there was always the, they had to shoot some footage sort of hanging over them. But at the end of the day, they got it done. They got it completely finished up with an oil finish, a rubbed oil finish, and a wonderful treatment of the frets. They masked all the frets off, and they went around and did wonderful treatments at the end to make them super round, and they also polished them and got them looking just gorgeous. So I was really happy with the fretwork. I didn't even ask for that. They did that, and then they also, I don't know if you can see it, maybe on this camp here, they put my logo on the back. I don't know if they laser etched that or if they put that on a little router, little CNC machine. But they got my logo up there. It looks pretty awesome. Yeah, the hooks. So anyway, the neck. The neck came in a couple of weeks ago, and I started to put it all together. The first thing I noticed was that although the nut was shimmed, it was a little low. It was a little buzzing. So I said, you know what, I need to shim this neck up just a hair more, and I had a little rosewood strip that had been sitting in a parts box for years. I said, and I had, amongst other shims, but the rosewood shim was short and fit in there perfectly. Might have even come from a Floyd Rose. And I said, that's the one, and it worked great. So, fixed that with a shim. I put the neck on, but I felt like the action was really high. It's a little, it was really out there. And I said, well, that's not going to work. And the neck already had a little shim in it, a little bit of sandpaper, rolled up at the end there. But I had a Stumac shim, a little quarter angle, right? Not even a one degree angle, quarter degree angle. And I put that in there, and I just had to sand the sides down just a hair to get it to fit nice and, flat on the bottom. And that worked great. I mean, that really brought it back. So, I mean, just little by little, right, I'm starting to get everything together. It's an original German Floyd Rose nut. And I had an original German Floyd Rose bridge, but I only had it in black. I didn't have it in the chrome. So the one that was on it when I got it was a Floyd Rose, I think, special. Maybe the Floyd Rose 2. And it's noticeably not as good as the OG, right? The steel plate, and, it's all milled. In other words, they cut these, the blades, right? The post blades, like right out of that single shank, right? There's no separate, inserted hard metal tangs that they don't have to worry about, wearing out. So this is it's the top one, but it's the modern one. They have an OG one that has the old style trim socket and the brass fine tuners. And I hemmed and hawed. I was like, do you need that? Do you really need that? And I decided I did. So I ordered it up. I had it shipped here, and it didn't fit. The post lined up, but the different trim holder was much larger than the one that's on this. This fits perfectly, no problems at all. That one I would have had to route the body, and Bobby was like, "That's nothing. We can do that." I'm like, he's like, "We can even just take a Dremel and just sand it down a little bit till it just fits in there." And I was like, you know what? What if it doesn't fit? Maybe it is off a little bit. I don't know. I just didn't. I don't want to go that far. And I knew this one. You know what? If this one didn't fit, and I had to make modifications to either one, then it's like whatever. But where this one fit perfectly, it's like I just go with this. Now I know black isn't what's on the original Frankie, but in the spirit of the Frankie, which is to use the parts you have, right? A Frankenstein amalgamation of the parts on hand. I felt it worked well. That's a Duncan 59. That is a non-working dummy coil, unlike the actual EVH. If you bought an EVH one, you could actually activate that coil. This one, you cannot activate that coil. It is a non-working pickup. I replaced the pot with a Bourne's zero friction, and that made it much, much easier to turn. And I think that's it. What else did I do? Oh, after I put it all together, again with the shimmed neck and the shimmed nut, it was playing like much, much better. But the middle strings were kind of buzzy. And the only way to get rid of it was to raise the action so high that the high E and the low E were just ridiculously off the neck. And that tells me a radius mismatch, right? A radius mismatch. And my spidey sense was this neck is got a curve to it, which I could kind of see. And this Floyd Rose is pretty flat because it has no shims in it. Now, I did a radius test on this with my radius gauges, 9.5 inch radius. The stock Floyd Rose is, without shims, is 12 inch radius. So much flatter than the 9.5, and that was my problem. So I ordered up a set of shims. In fact, they come for 10. You can get a Floyd Rose shimmed for 10 degrees. I mean, 10 inches of radius, of curvature. But I didn't have that. I had just the the stock regular one with no shims in it. So I ordered up some shims off of Amazon from All Parts. And those came in, and I did it like the high E and the low E, nothing. The A string and the B string, one shim. And then the D string and the G string, I went with 2 shims each. And my God, what a difference when you match the radius. So, it was getting there. It was getting there, but something was still off. In fact, I had done some work to it, and I put it all back together again. And I noticed that when I would hit a note, it would be like... I mean, the sustain was, I'm hitting a note. It's like, what the hell is going on? I just have enough experience, and I've repaired enough guitars that if you have a bolt-on guitar, you have something loose, something that's connected to the strings that's loose. Either the bridge is loose or the neck is loose. That is the number one culprit for lack of sustain. You got a loose neck. And sure enough, not only was it a little loose, one of the bolts was a little stripped. And I probably didn't notice it because I went to tighten down all the bolts, and that last one just spun. And I said, oh, there's your problem right there. It's got absolutely no bite. So, to repair that, I just took the neck off and took a couple of toothpicks, wooden toothpicks, and you just depth gauge them by putting the pointy end down into the hole you want to fill, and marking it. I just take the pliers and put a couple of little dents, then pulling it out and snipping it off, and then I put the thick side down and the pointy side up. I do that usually twice, and maybe even swab them with a little bit of tight bond before I put them in there, and then you put the screw in, and you remember you have the points coming up, and it gets thicker as it goes down with the toothpicks. And as the screw goes in, it spreads out that bottom, and it gets a real good bite, and boom, next thing you know, it's like a completely repaired guitar. You might have to use 3 toothpick ends, but 2 to 3 toothpick ends is usually plenty to fill it. And again, you want it to be point side up, thick side down, and it works great. So I did that. I used 2 toothpick ends, filled it in, and tightened it all down, and what a difference. Yeah. So that's it. It's all done. That was the last thing I had to do, was just get that neck a little tighter and get the sustain back to where it was when it started. I swear maybe at some point when I was working on it, I stripped it out a little bit. But that was definitely it. Yeah. So there you have it. Homemade Frankie, custom Frankie. All done, ready to go, ready to roll. And really happy with the way it turned out. Like anything that isn't, that's sort of custom made like that, put together. It was a lot of little increments, tiny little fix here, tiny little fix on the neck, tiny little fix on the bridge. But the next thing you know, you got it all together and working. All right. Well, there you have it, dudes. Frankie. Pretty happy. Love the way it came out. Really love that they did the logo on the back. Think the flame looks way more flamey. You know, looks good. I did notice when I was filming earlier, like a little white spot on the neck, and I was like, oh, they missed a spot. It's right around, I think it's right there. You see that? So I took a little tung oil and covered it, and no change. So that must be a mineral spot or something, and it's not really absorbing the oil at that. So it was definitely done. I was like, they missed a spot, but they didn't miss any spots. That's just the something in the neck, making it look a tiny bit lighter, right? I think right there, that fret right there. Yeah. Anyway, try and get a shot of it here. You can see. Yeah. There you go, Frankie. All right, dudes, as always, thanks so much for hanging out, and rock on.